Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is 2020. Have you missed us? We're back to talk about Orange County Soccer Club and a bunch of other stuff as we roll into the new year and the new upcoming season. Definitely a lot to talk about that's happened since you've last heard from us. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Towards the near post, deflects, and it's in. Darwin Jones with the response for Orange County. And it is a massive one. Off the goal, dominant in the last 7.
Forrester in the middle now, gets around a few defenders. Forrester with the outside right foot. What a strike by Harry Forrester. It's the opening goal for Orange County.
It's looking beautiful. Heading down that post. Opportunity and a goal. A beautiful goal by Orange County.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast or on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, presented by Roughneck Scarves. We are the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I am your host, Ray Samora, and I am with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me back on the podcast, as he always is since day one, that's Dylan. Where I met him in County Line Coalition the very first time I talked to him. And now we've been hanging out for 1.5, almost 2 years now of talking soccer. Dylan, how's it going?
It's good. And in typical me fashion, I was almost late, but I'm here. And I have thoroughly missed soccer the last couple of weeks. So I'm glad to be back.
And we're glad to have you here as always, Dylan. Who joined us at the beginning of last season, and he just stuck around pretty much. He's a permanent resident now of our podcast. All the way from San Diego, we've got Alan. Alan, how are you doing, man? Welcome back.
Doing great. Been following the Arena Soccer League, MASL, so I'm ready to mix in some outdoor soccer live and in person. So I can't wait for the season to get started.
Oh, and you were starting some trouble on the social medias there, Alan. We'll get into that probably later on in the show. Joining us for the first time officially, he did do a brief cameo at one of our live events at Knollwoods about 1.5 years ago, but now he's officially on our podcast. People have been asking for it, and we got him on here. That's Andy from County Line Coalition. Andy, how are you doing, man?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I don't know about who was asking for me. I think it was only one dude.
Only one dude asking for Andy, but he came on. He's been a lifelong supporter of our podcast, and we're glad to have him on here to talk soccer with us. Or for many people around the world, they call it football. And by the way, we brought someone from the other side of the world, all the way from Scotland, to help us dissect this partnership between Rangers and Orange County FC, and that is James Forrest from Heart and Hand Rangers podcast. How you doing, James?
Good morning, America. How are we all doing? It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invite, Ray.
Oh, no problem. And by all means, thank you for getting up early to join us on here and talk soccer/football with us and what this partnership means. Before we get into all that, though, we do have a guest from the club that we want to definitely get to right away so we don't take up too much of his time. Joining us for the first time live on our podcast, goalkeeper for Orange County Soccer Club, and that's Aaron Cervantes. Aaron, welcome to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's going great. I hope everything's going great for you. How's the off season been? How's the training been heading into training camp?
Yeah, off season's been great. Just trying to stay fit for preseason.
And I think you've been sort of traveling around since the season ended. I know you took part in was it the U17 World Cups out there in Europe and other stuff, right?
Yeah, I did a little bit of traveling. We went to Brazil for a little bit to go compete in the World Cup, and then went down to Scotland for a little bit of training. Yeah.
Perfect. And how was your trip out there to Scotland? How does what's the difference between Scotland compared to Southern California?
It's the weather. It's a lot colder out there. Yeah, it was good to go out there and see what's like the soccer side of things and how they live. It was a cool experience. Yeah.
And you were out there training with Rangers, or was it with another?
Yeah, I was there with Rangers. Yeah.
Perfect. And what would you say would your like 3 biggest takeaways from your experience out there training with Rangers?
Definitely the biggest one was going to see the Old Firm game against Rangers versus Celtic. That was a big like eye opener. You know how big the game is out there and how competitive it is and how everyone's just so into the game. You know, that was a good one. Definitely like the competition and the competitiveness in the training sessions and how people get stuck in out there is another one. And the weather was harsh out there. Yeah.
I definitely could understand that. I know we're a little spoiled here. We've been made fun of from some of our fellow podcasters around the country when Dylan and I complain that it's either too cold or too hot or what that may be. I'm sure, James out there in Scotland, he's pretty much used to that weather. James, would you agree that it's still pretty cold even though you're used to that weather out there?
It's been a colder January, I think, even then. But December, around about the time that Aaron came over, was particularly cold, I think. But to be fair, by the sounds of it, he had some interesting experiences out there. Aaron, if I can ask you, just if you were out there, you had the chance to train. Was this at the training centre at Auchenhowie? Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there in the training centre. Yeah.
How did you find that facility compared to what you're used to?
The facility was just unbelievable. Everything just before training, the training prep, during training, the competition field was just top notch. It was a really professional environment.
Was it quite inspiring for you, almost?
Of course, yeah. Obviously, I want to be there someday, and it was good to go out there and get a little taste, get a little sample of it.
Well, it's good to hear that you I'm sorry to cut you off there, James. It's good to hear that Aaron's shooting for the big leagues there. I definitely don't want you getting stuck in second tier U.S. soccer. Although, as an Orange County Soccer Club fan, we'd love to have you for life. But I think we're all realists that we understand this isn't any professional soccer player's like final goal to play for Orange County Soccer Club. So, I mean, glad to hear you had a great experience out there and have something to shoot for or aim for. And it's nice that the clubs, Rangers and Orange County, sort of built that relationship to give players like yourself an opportunity to go train out there and get a taste of what's potentially in the future for you.
Yeah, 100%. It's an honor play for Orange County, of course, going out there and having the fans root you on. The fans are great, but I always want to strive for bigger and better things, like going to Europe, making my career better always,
Understandable. Dylan, I want to open it up to you. Do you have a question for Aaron?
Well, I think James beat me by asking about the weather. I was going to ask, we have a very moderate winter and what's like to go into December, because I was definitely complaining about the weather all December long. But hey, I got beat to it. And, I just hope they give you a couple extra jackets, Aaron. I really do. If not, we'll crowdfund one for you or something.
Sounds good. I'm gonna need some scarves, some gloves in there too as well, because.
Perfect. Yeah. We'll make sure it works out. I think we have a couple County Line Coalition scarves you can probably donate in there. They'll probably smell terrible, but it's a different story.
Let me go to you, Alan, really quick. Do you have a question for Aaron?
Yeah, you had a pretty successful kind of first year out with Orange County, getting some games in, definitely some saves of the week. Made it decently, some good runs in there as far as play. What are your goals for this upcoming season, both personally and kind of what are you looking for the team?
Personally, I'd like to get games. Games are always good. Consistency is great for a goalkeeper, young goalkeeper my age. And just for the team, probably a better start than last year because it was a bit of a rusty start going into the season. towards the end of the season, it was a little bit better. But this season, I feel like we need to do a little bit better with starting up the season.
Perfect. Andy, I'll give it to you. Do you have a question for Aaron at all?
Yeah, one quick one and one more detailed one. Aaron, hey, it's nice to see you again, I guess.
Good to see you too.
A favorite vegetable?
So just really quick, Aaron, just so you know, one of the questions we ask all of our guests from the club, one of the questions that's become like a tradition here is what your favorite vegetable is.
What are those?
Yeah.
Nice.
Food your food eats.
That's a good answer. That's the first time we've had that answer. I like it.
I got to credit Ron Swanson with that one. That's not me.
No. Broccoli. I like broccoli. Broccoli is my favorite vegetable.
Yeah. That one's come up a couple times.
I mean, how do you prepare that, if you can walk us through? That's not a trade secret.
Well, my mom makes broccoli for dinner sometimes.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Hey, talk to Aiden. I think he has a pretty good broccoli recipe for you.
Sounds good. Yeah, shit. I'll give you my mom's number so we can sort that out.
Hey, so a real question, actually, and you might have answered this before. I just haven't heard it. But you're kind of one of these names that we throw around as the success of professional development in Orange County, in Southern California, with Orange County Soccer Club. But when younger guys come to you and say, how do I get where you're at? What's your answer, and what kind of mentoring and coaching do you give them?
Definitely. Just keep working. It's you're not going to get anything if you don't work. Yeah, just on your own with your team, and just always striving every single training session, just trying to get better and better.
Perfect. And I have one of our traditional questions, and then one last question, then we'll let you head out, Aaron. You're forced, or you have to stand up in front of your team and sing a song, do a round of karaoke. What song are you singing right now?
Great question. Take Me Home, West Virginia by John Denver.
Oh, he's a County Line Coalition favorite now. Wow, there's no other way to say it. He's
100% into that. Yeah.
You shouldn't have answered. Nice. We're going to drag you in the CLC now, and you're going to have to sing it with us. So that's your motivation to make the match day, or at least start every game now. Beyond any other one.
Tell me time and place.
And then one last question I do have for you. This actually came from one of our followers on Twitter. His Twitter handle is A2USL. He wants to know, basically, he's curious about your hair products. Like, what do you put in your hair? How do you do that? Because he said your hairstyle is always on point. What's the secret between that hair? Or behind that
Suavecito.
hair?
It's called Suavecito.
There you go.
It's a hair pomade. You throw it in there, it doesn't even move.
There we go. And I can attest to that. I think we've seen you after a match where you've played a full 90 minutes and that hair is still like perfectly shaped up there on top of the head. And it's not like you're not putting in work. You're out there making some diving saves, getting the ball, and that hair is just there. That's why I think 2 years in a row you've been one of our nominees for best hair on the team, because of how great you do, or how you do that hair there. So, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I would definitely want to give you a quick chance if you have any last bit of inspiration or excitement you want to give our fans before we let you go.
No, just keep cheering. It's always great to hear you guys cheering on the pitch come Saturday. I just love hearing you guys' voice, singing and stuff. So keep cheering us on, and thanks for cheering for us last season. You guys did great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Aaron Cervantes, goalkeeper for your Orange County Soccer Club. Thank you, Aaron, again, for taking some time out of your evening to speak with us here live with our fans and answering some awesome questions from not just our fans, but from the people on here. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch Aaron in all of the Orange County Soccer Club. Their first match of the season, March 6th, which is a Friday evening match. Oh, by the way, we will actually be posting up there in the fan zone and doing a live pregame show there. I believe we're working on speaking with James Keston, the owner, Oliver Vies, the GM, and whatever other members of the team will provide us. I think them. We'll get that all out there. So thank you again, Aaron. Have a great evening.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And we all heard him there. Aaron, he took the trip out there to Scotland. He got to train with Rangers. And he even mentioned that's an inspiration. That's, a goal. He'd love to be able to one day walk into that, I think 50,000 seat stadium there and hear the fans chanting and be involved in that. He got to go to a match out there. So let's get into this partnership. And that's why we brought James on here from Heart and Hand Podcast to get into this and figure out what this really means for Orange County and vice versa. What does this mean for Rangers and how is this partnership going to benefit both of these teams? Let's get James back on here. So we've heard a little bit from you about, cold out there, and you got to talk with Aaron a little bit about the training facility. We mentioned before we went live that there's going to be a good handful of fans from Orange County that probably know very little, if anything, about Rangers. So in the most condensed way possible, James, can you give us like a brief history of Rangers Football Club out there in Scotland?
Oh, the pressure. Okay. So we are a club that are nearly 150 years old. We have won the most, to this date, we have won the most league titles, and that's 54. We are on the hunt for our 55th league title, which is, of course, very, very exciting. We have won numerous domestic cup competitions. We have won a European trophy back in the 1970s. We are one of the biggest supported clubs in all of Europe. We have one of the biggest stadiums, as you mentioned. We have a fan base that goes all around the world, including a supporters club in Orange County. So shout out to the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club if any of them are listening. And yes, we are a club with a massive amount of history, a massive amount of tradition. And given struggles in recent years from 2012 to 2016, the rise of us from such a low ebb is a rather remarkable story.
Way to do a nice, quick recap of the history of Rangers. So we also sort of talked about it, and we didn't quite get time to get an answer from you, so I just want to figure this out. Before this partnership was announced, what did the fans there in Scotland know about Orange County Soccer Club, if anything?
Very little, if we're being brutally honest. For a lot of Rangers supporters, it's kind of Rangers and nothing else really matters. You'll get a number of Rangers supporters who are into their football. That tends to be European football. You may even get a smaller number of Rangers supporters that are into the football that will like football out with European football. And then you're maybe looking at stuff like soccer in the USA. But that tends to be MLS. I think a lot of people aren't quite aware of the fact that there are more teams than just those within the MLS structure. So they're not aware of the USL or the fact that there's as many teams in the USL as what there is at the moment. So it's maybe a surprise in that sense about the fact that there is this team from this area and whatnot. But I'm sure that this is an opportunity for a lot of Rangers fans to maybe get to know about Orange County, the club, a bit more, and the type of league that you guys play in, and hopefully maybe see some of our players, some of our youth players maybe come over and play for you guys at some point as well.
Well, and I think it sort of helps in the aspect of things that American soccer plays on a totally different calendar from pretty much Europe when it comes to soccer. So when you guys are going to be like in your little off-season period, I mean, it's the middle of our season, and by the way, it's summer in Southern California, beautiful weather, beaches and all this stuff, plus a nice intimate soccer venue, soccer/football venue. We were talking about it. We see, I guess, Andy, you were saying it's officially like 5,000, but Andy's counted seats in the stadium and got to about 2,800?
Something like, yeah. Actual seats is around 2,700.
So it might be a good summer holiday for people out there in Scotland, the Rangers fans, to make the trip out here to, like you said, potentially see some of the future first team players getting some playing time in the U.S. second division. It is a smaller division, smaller stadiums for the most part, but it's growing. There's growth in the league. There's fan growth and soccer in America is really growing from when I was a young person, where pretty much only people that knew soccer were the ones playing AYSO. Now you get at least some coverage on Sports Center and whatnot. Let me open it up to any three of the other gentlemen on here. Alan, Dylan, Andy, do you guys have any questions that you'd want to throw out to James?
Andy, did you have one? You look ready. You look so pensive.
Yeah, and not to pick out a scab too much, but James, why do Rangers supporters hate Harry Forrester?
You should have squared it to Dodu, that's why.
Yeah, he should have passed it to Joe Dodu. Exactly. Well done, Dylan. You did your research. Yes, Harry Forrester, for any Rangers fans that are listening, he is obviously still part of the Orange County roster. He came to us when we were in the second tier on our journey back up to the top league, and he had one or two good moments at that point. Probably the one that's most memorable for me is scoring in a cup game in the first 15 seconds, which was a very, very lovely moment. But yes, from that point onward, it was not quite as good. And that moment in particular is the one that I think Rangers fans remember the most about Harry Forrester, the fact that he did not square the ball to Dodu.
So Andy stole Dylan's question apparently there. Way to go. Hey, Andy's coming for your job, Dylan.
No, and I bring it up because, on social media, anytime there's something about Harry on the Orange County social media, immediately there are, I'm guessing, Rangers supporters who say something like, should have squared the ball, Harry, something like that.
Yeah, this was in an Old Firm game where we hadn't beaten them in the league for so long by that point already, and had he just played that ball, things could have gone a lot differently on that occasion. So yeah, we're not very forgiving when it comes to stuff like that, particularly in that kind of game. So we're one of the best supporters in the world, but that works both ways. We'll be passionate as hell, but at the same time, if you don't do well for us, or if you make a mistake, we're not going to let you forget about it that easily.
Yeah, I know that feeling because he drew a red in our conference semifinal when we were down by 1 goal in the 40th.
Was it a straight red? I can't remember.
He was on a yellow, but it
yes,
wasn't a second yellow. It was a red.
Red.
That was a straight
Yeah.
Right, so he hasn't changed at all since 20 whenever.
Yeah, it was like the 47th minute, and we were looking really good. We were down by 1 goal, and then he drug his studs across some kid's face, and we were all pretty pissed off about that.
I mean, Dylan was in the stands. You could hear him on the stream, I think, and they didn't have the mics for the fans turned up pretty loud, but I think you could hear Dylan out there. Or if not, you could at least see the steam coming off of that portion of the stands right behind the Orange County bench there.
I'm pretty sure Dew was going to run out.
Yes.
Kill him. Oops, sorry. Pretty sure he was going to run out of the box and kill him right there on the field.
Earmuffs.
So
we
look greatly forward. Are there any youth players that you don't think are good enough to get time with the first team in a cup run, or
any defenders you can send our way?
Yeah, not going into League One over in England that you think might be heading out our way, or any players that we should be looking forward to?
Well, we have maybe seen one or two names of some guys that have been linked and might potentially make the move out. A couple of defenders. If you're looking at that guy called Daniel Finlayson, has been talked about as going over there. I think he is someone who is a predominantly a central defender, but he's young enough that he could play probably anywhere across the back line, I would imagine. Another guy, Matthew Shields, is another one. He likes to play on the left-hand side, can play either as a left back or a left winger. I don't know if that would be of great use to you, but also a young guy, Cammy Palmer, who central midfielder, can play kind of as that number 10 as well, though. Those are some of the names that I've seen being linked with a potential trip over to San Francisco. Listen, I think any of our youth players that get the opportunity to go over, I think would be very excited for that, not only in terms of the location, but different type of league. And this is the thing, certainly I think the benefit of the partnership from our point of view is the chance for our young players to experience a different kind of football / soccer. And they can translate that back into Scotland, and it's a different kind of experience, a different kind of dynamic on the game, which I think would be a great benefit to us. I guess from the playing side, from your guys' point of view, the chance to get in some more place to boost that roster a bit is probably the best aspect of this partnership for you.
Well, I think one of the biggest things, if you look at what Orange County has been doing over the past few seasons, is they've really been strong on promoting this path. I don't know, path to pro or pathway to pro. I don't know exactly what the official phrase is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think you're correct. It's getting some of those younger players that are going to be quality players that can slot into what we have. Orange County tried a partnership with an MLS team, LAFC, here for a couple seasons. Didn't quite work out because I don't think LAFC and Orange County were sort of on the same page. And there was always this sort of, I don't know if it's a way out or whatever the word would be, where LA could just sort of pull their players back whenever they want. And then you lose sort of some of that cohesion that you might be building up. They wanted you to be able to play the players, even if the player wasn't really good enough to make it out on the roster. We maybe had better players. I think one of the big strong points with this partnership with Rangers is it's not that easy for Rangers to say, hey, we want so-and-so back for a couple weeks, send them out this way. Because you send a player halfway across the world, they're going to have to go like a few days to maybe even a week just to get back into the time zones and all that interesting stuff. So I think that's where this benefits Orange County very, very well there with more stability with the roster. Alan, I think you have a question that you want to ask.
Yeah, we've been focusing a lot on like the benefit of Orange County, and I'm kind of curious. Like, I think there's going to be Orange County fans who, because of this, become Rangers supporters or at least follow the team. And I know the Scottish Premier League has some interesting quirks and kind of their own way of rolling their season. So I just wanted to have you elaborate on kind of if we were going to follow the Scottish Premier League and follow the Rangers through the rest of their season, what kind of, what does the season look like? How does it, are there cups? Are there, how does it finish? I think they do like that split season. Like what, as a fan, sorry, not the Rangers, following Rangers. It's an American.
It's an American thing. Put a "the" in front of a team.
Very Californian, like the freeways too, the 405. Pardon my ignorance. But as we're following the team and through the rest of the season, what can we expect as far as play and the season goes?
So the season, it's a 38-game season. There's 12 teams in the division. You play each team 3 times, and then you're right, there's a split that takes place after those 33 games. The top 6 teams will then play each other again one more time, and then the bottom 6 teams will play each other again. So that's done purely and simply to make sure that there is another Old Firm game in there, because that is really the only game that matters in this country. Within that as well, there is the Scottish Cup, which will take place, cup competition, which has teams from all over, different divisions in Scotland. We're into kind of the last 16 of that now. So those games will be in the mix as well. And we're also in the Europa League. We're still in the Europa League in the last 32. We've got a game against Portuguese side Sporting Braga coming up, which is going to be a tough game, but this was by far and away, beyond the expectations of most Rangers fans in terms of how far we'd get in this competition, considering we had to go through 4 qualifying rounds to get to the group stage, to then get through the group stage to get into this part. If people were wondering how Steven Gerrard is doing as a manager, trust me, he's doing a very, very good job. So this is, if you're looking for a European team to support, OKC fans, trust me, this is by far and away the club to get on board with. And I realise I said OKC. Of course, I meant Orange County. Forgive me, it's 5 a.m.
It's okay. It's like you said, it's super early in the morning. We're not going to hold that any mistakes against you. I don't think any Dylan, Allen, or myself would be able to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and get it perfect. We can't even get it perfect when we're doing
get it perfect anyway.
a regular episode. I mean, I'm surprised Andy hasn't called me out on any of my mistakes yet so far this episode. That's what he likes to do. What would you say is the hope that you get? I mean, would you potentially hope to get maybe a player from America that, I mean, Southern California is a hotbed for talent for soccer. Again, I said that Orange County is building this pathway to professional or pathway to pro, where you're getting some of these young players. We were recently in the news last year for the youngest ever professional contract by a male soccer player in the United States. So they're finding some of these players that they're very young. I know in Europe it's a lot different. In Scotland's probably a lot different. You have these kids that come up through the academies. They're playing from age 7 with Rangers and just sort of growing and developing. It's a little different here in America, but we're finding some of these quality players in Southern California, which again is a hotbed, that maybe now they see that as we can go to Orange County, we could play in the lower tiers of U.S. soccer, develop, train with Rangers, and maybe one day, because there's this partnership, we can now see ourselves going to one of the top clubs in the world as a professional. I mean, is that, I guess, maybe the ultimate goal out of this, or do you see it more for Rangers? The ultimate goal is just getting playing time for the players.
Who knows, I think, is the answer to that. There's many potential advantages from both sides out of this kind of thing, both on a playing side and also a commercial point of view. As you were saying, there's the opportunity for maybe some Orange County supporters to maybe take up Rangers as a team. So, that's a case of buying maybe replica shirts or stuff like that. And I guess that works vice versa as well. For me, I always feel that we've always been better when we've had an American player in our team. You go back to Claudio Reyna, he was the first, and we did very well when he was here. Guys like DeMarcus Beasley, Morris Edu, Carlos Bocanegra, to a lesser extent Alejandro Bedoya, but still, these are guys that have played for us and are good players. We have an American right now, Matt Polster, who I think maybe a couple of years ago would have been a player that would have played a lot more for us than what he is. It's just because we've got a very, very good squad at the moment that he's maybe not getting the game time that he would maybe be wanting. But listen, if this all leads to us getting a player for Orange County that is going to make it as a Rangers player and do well, then it's made the partnership worthwhile from our point of view. That, or one of our youth guys gets a lot of game time and comes back a much better player, and that's the benefit of us. So yeah, there's lots of potential, and it's going to be exciting to see how that all plays out.
And then I want to open it up to you, James. Do you have any questions or any last questions you have of us? Or that your fans maybe want to hear or know about Orange County and Orange County SC?
So I think we talked a lot about, we've talked already about the stadium and the environment in which these guys would play if they were to go over. The USL as a league is quite interesting because obviously there's so many teams and it's kind of split between Eastern and Western conferences. Do you have to travel all the way to like New York to play games and stuff like that? And if you do you get a support that will travel over and watch you guys? How intense is the following for Orange County Soccer Club?
Let me go to Andy on that because he's I know Dylan's also County Line Coalition, but Andy's our representative from County Line Coalition today. Andy, what do you got to say on that?
I would say it's not as fervent as it is for Rangers.
That's putting it nicely, Andy.
Yeah, James, as you said, it is split east and west. So about the farthest, this might not mean anything for you. The farthest east we would travel, I think, would be Oklahoma, which is still, gosh, that's what, guys, like a 6 or 7 hour plane flight, probably.
No. Like 4, maybe 3 or 4.
It's 4 times as far to go. Our longest game would be from here to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
it's about 1,300 miles. So 4 trips for someone in Glasgow to go to London.
Like 4 round trips.
2 round trips.
Oh, 2 round trips. Okay.
Yeah, but
that was a lot of math. So that said, we have our supporter group, which I don't want to say they're the hardcores, but that's about as best as you could describe it. And there's definitely a group of us who do travel, but we're all kind of new family kind of age of life. So we all have young kids, so it's harder to travel. Usually what ends up happening is a handful will go to away games if they're the closer ones. For example, for the season opener last year, I think there was 4 of us who went up to Reno, which is about a 6-hour drive, 7-hour drive. It's like an hour plane flight. You get up in the air and they throw a soda at you and you land. But we play Sacramento, which is another probably 6-7 hour drive. I would say we don't really have a culture of traveling right now, and that's mostly because it's challenging to travel in the Western U.S. because the distances are so vast.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting you're talking about that. It reminded me of recently we had our kind of winter break. It was a couple of weeks, and the team travelled to Dubai for some warm weather training. Which, I mean, given that we're based in Glasgow, the opportunity to go to Dubai is always going to be one you're going to take. We had a friendly game that we were, scheduled to play on the Saturday. Fans travelled from Glasgow to Dubai to watch this friendly game, this exhibition match. There's definitely a culture of supporters going anywhere to follow the team, especially now. So I think that's quite interesting, and I wonder whether that's something that might translate over time, and you might see. You're talking about 4 or 5 guys that are travelling to some away games, even though the distances are absolutely huge, as you say. That'd be interesting to keep an eye on if that culture changes, and whether you get guys that are travelling to Austin or San Antonio and you'll be getting 30 or 40 guys and seeing if that develops over time.
Oh, it would be awesome to get that. I think like a big portion of it too, like you look at the difference between the 2 clubs, you guys have a 50,000 seat stadium, and you were mentioning that there's not even enough seats for all the fans that want to go to the games or the matches. Whereas we have a 5,000 seat stadium, and it's very rare that we're selling out the stadium. You look at the difference in ages of the teams. I mean, we're a relatively young team. Soccer is a relatively young sport in the United States. I know the U.S. Soccer Federation likes to think that they're there with the big boys, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, but I don't think they've quite reached that point yet. And just the distances. I think there's been some USL, like one of the USL memes accounts or something has gone up and posted like map comparisons of what the travel's like in the U.S. compared to some of the countries like in England or whatnot, and just the way the distances just sort of are so much more, and it makes it hard, when you're having to do it each and every week to go, spend $300-400 on a plane ticket because it's impossible to drive somewhere and still work a 40-hour a week job and go to the kids' soccer game or baseball game or fencing match or whatever it may be. So I would love to see it. I would love to see, like you said, even get to a group of like 25, 30 of committed fans that can travel to those. It's just, it's very difficult. And I mean, as a podcast, we try to travel to, I know Dylan and I made that opening match last year. Dylan's made it to a few more away matches that I have, but it makes it difficult.
Yeah, Ray, I think part of that too, and James kind of touched on it, is It's again, history major, but it's math, right? So if you have 50,000 fans and 1% of those travel, that's 500 people, right? We have around 3,500. If 1% of those travel,
like 3.5.
It'd be 35, but we don't even get that many. We get a handful of folks that go to LA, but that's always on a Sunday night. And everyone has to work the next day, and LA is a
landfill.
Thank you. LA is a landfill, so we don't want to go there anyway. And I think as we grow more regular supporters, as we get more casual supporters, as we fill out our supporter section, I think we're on the up and up. You look at pictures from 2007 of our section, and you look at pictures now, and it's night and day. I think we're on the road to what James is describing, but I think we're still far way off.
And let's be honest, it's Orange County, California. It's not the most sports friendly area of California. It's a lot of me and Dylan have discussed this many a times. I know our Phoenix possible listeners that don't like us, they get mad at us when we talk about it, but there's just A, too much to do in Southern California, and B, fans like to jump on a winner. Like if you're not winning, then they're sitting there sort of like, eh. And I think that has something to do with what goes on with this team as well. Dylan, Alan, I don't know if you guys have anything to throw in there before we maybe move on to talking a little bit about Orange County's roster.
Yeah, James, what's your favorite vegetable, and how do you prepare it?
I'm big on a bit of a combination of sweet corn and peas. I like to use my steamer, get them all nice and steamy with a bit of protein in there. That's usually the veg that I would tend to go for. Typical, bit boring, but it gets the job done.
I want to think that Dylan's like keeping track of all these recipes he asks, and then he's going to like create a soccer cookbook of vegetable recipes or something like that. I don't know how that would go, but no, so, Andy.
Haggis is not a vegetable.
Well, no, because haggis is an animal, of course, as you all know. It's got 3 legs. It's furry. It's got a very, very big face. So someone actually believed that once when they were asking about haggis. To actually believe that was a genuine thing. It's a vegetable if you want it to be. You make that call.
Fair enough.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do this because we don't have much time left on our pod. We try to keep it under an hour. We definitely are going to try and do that, even though there's been so much to talk about. There has been, since we last spoke to you to now, a lot of roster movement. Some fan favorites have moved on to newer opportunities for them. We can run down the list briefly, and if I forget a name or two, let me know, gentlemen. But I do know Michael Seaton went out to Germany, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the team he's playing in.
You can do it. Do it.
Let me hear you do it, Dylan.
It's so easy. Victoria Colon.
There you go. It's just because I didn't have it in front of me and I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I don't think he's gotten into an official match quite yet, but I know through some of these scrimmage or training matches, he's been looking pretty good.
Yeah, he scored a couple goals. He's assisted a couple goals. They won a bunch of them. They lost 1-4-1, but he was the only one that scored. So I think he'll probably fight his way into the starting 11 and
I think, Dylan, you had mentioned he's probably going to become their best striker at some point, as much as you know about the team, of course. But
and as much as I know about Mike, which is, you put him on any team, he'll become their best striker. Like, Man United, Tottenham, those kind of teams. Maybe not Liverpool.
Easy.
Alan won't even look up, and I name drop his team, but yeah, that's the kind of person he is.
Other movements that have happened, Contour Wasu Ansa, if I got that right, Ansa, yeah. He moved on to the dreaded enemy. He's going to be hanging out in Butterfly Gardens is basically what I can say there. Joe Amico, the fan favorite from last year, moved on. Where's he? OKC, I believe, right?
Correct.
Any other announcements from any players from the roster last year? I think those are the 3, unless I'm missing anything.
Unofficially, Charlie Adams, who played for half a season in Orange County, hasn't been announced yet, but was announced in the Soccer's game that he has signed with San Diego. So officially, unofficial.
Look, Carrie Taylor's not listening to this podcast. You're fine, Alan.
Right.
She's not gonna come hack you down.
Shut down the Fairweather pod before it even gets big. What else? No other movements than official movements. There have been official announcements of returning players, one of them being the ever popular Harry Forrester. So I'm sure James and the Ranger fans are excited that their partner team here in California has a former Ranger legend, Harry Forrester, on the roster still. I know I did see like some when the announcement was first made, a lot of the Ranger fans were jumping on, sort of, oh, well, now we know where Harry's been or what's going on. So I know you guys were super excited about that.
Yes.
Who else? The return of Thomas Enevoldsen. I think that was an exciting moment for a lot of people. I will be honest, Dylan, Alan, and myself, we knew a few days before the official announcement was made, but we promised secrecy to the club higher up, so we definitely did our best to not leak that information. But I loved seeing what everyone had to say or what their guesses were when the club was saying there's a player announcement coming up, an international player announcement. What is Andy doing?
You forgot Christian Duke. Courtesy to Mr. Blaine, of course, for texting me right now. We forgot Christian Duke. Went back home, Kansas City. I heard rumors of player coach with Sporting KC. He'd definitely be a good fit for that role, but he's got a couple years left with him. I don't know. I'm just happy he's home. I'm going to miss him, though. Danny Chrysostomo's back. That defensive midfield role. Kevin Alston's back. Darwin Jones is back, so that right wing's looking pretty good. Aiden Quinn enters the last year of his contract. I'm trying to think of who else. Brought
Michael
back most of
Orozco?
the kids. Yeah, Michael Orozco, lock it down.
Frederick Jew. That's going to put up some competition there for Aaron Cervantes in goal, but I think competition in goal is a good thing.
Yeah, is Tottenham good with that, or let me think about that one for a second.
Hey, their second string goalie has done a decent job in the time when you have a world-class goalie go out to a freak injury. So, yeah. Is that what Andy was like going crazy with when I'm looking at his image on the screen? He was like going all.
No, remember they had the post online about who's our mystery player, and Olsen has this really specific way he runs where he sticks his finger out, and the silhouette showed his finger. We all knew because of that.
5 people went
figured that out.
What is that? Zapruder? They went for that and they figured it out. It was amazing.
I just thought it was funny because there was a lot of interesting answers or guesses on that, and I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like, I don't know if I quite if it's just in my head or if I reached out to Dylan Allen thinking I think people are going to be a little disappointed in the answer because people were bringing up these big names from I can't remember what some of the names were, but people were bringing up some pretty big names when it comes to soccer. And I'm like, I love Thomas Enevoldsen, but he's not at that level, but I'm excited he's coming back because we missed him this past season. The kids returning except for one kid. I say kid, one of our younger players, still sort of up in the air. There's this weird, what's going on, unaffiliated or unattached or whatever the official name is on it. It's one of those guys that we brought over mid-season last season as a young signing. There we go. Haven't heard anything on him. He's still, I think last I looked a couple days ago, unattached. I'm hoping maybe it's just he's maybe looking for a potential bigger club that wants to bring him in. And if not, maybe he'll still consider Orange County. I don't know if he was one of the ones that made the trip out to Scotland when some of our young players went out there or not. Any names we're forgetting on the returning players? I can't quite remember. I think we hit most of them.
Yeah, it's mostly the kids and then a couple of picks. We have a lot of depth that we're missing at the moment, but Super Draft just happened, so who knows?
I know we need someone on the. Oh, go ahead.
Did you mention Vinicius and Edson, Diego Lopez?
I think
Sipley from Reno.
Oh, Seth Kasipli. How could we forget about Arena White from San Diego?
The newcomer. And I think we reached out to I reached out to Brad when that announcement was made just to sort of figure out or get a little scouting report. Brad, our friend from 1868 Weekly, just trying to figure out sort of how he might fit in with this club. Does he think it was or did he think it was a good signing or whatnot? A couple of the key things I got from him, I know he was very sad to see Seth making the trip down south, and sort of mentioned that this is coming from Brad, that he's an attacking left or right mid who won't score outside of the occasional long shot. That was Brad's direct quote there. When we started talking about that, we did get Jerry Van Wolfgang from you guys the season before, similar, outside midfield or winger type player. And Brad's response, or when I asked him a little bit about that, I asked him if he's better than Van Wolfgang. He said Jerry had more potential. Seth is more consistent, which I will take the consistency in the position as opposed to the potential for a breakout or something like that. I think that's where we were sort of lacking with Jerry Van Wolfgang last season, is just there was no consistency in his performances. For every good match he had a couple bad ones, or a couple, not bad, but a couple were just, he seemed to disappear. You didn't notice he was out there or whatnot. So maybe if Seth can come in and be consistent, just put a few more consistent stats out there. He also did mention, Brad mentioned that he'll set up his teammates better than he'll set up himself. So that's maybe something which will benefit someone like a Thomas Enevoltson, the opportunity to get a ball from Seth there on the pitch.
And Sebastian Velasquez is available apparently.
Okay.
So went down to Colombia, a striker.
I think Mikael Berry's more likely.
Yeah.
He played for our U23s. He got selected by Columbus. In the draft, but he's definitely going to come out on loan probably after their training camp.
He went to USD. He was All-American.
Smart boy, majored in finance. Could probably discern that 3,500, 1% of that is not 3.5 people.
Let's do this for time purposes. Let's just get in really quickly here to the schedule and figure out. I'm just going to ask each of you gentlemen, what's the match you're looking forward to most this season? Maybe this will help James and any Rangers supporters planning on making a trip out here. Maybe we can help them know which game is or which matches are the ones to come out and maybe potentially watch. I'll start off with Andy, since he's a guest here with us today. Andy, is there a match that you're looking forward to this season?
Yeah, let me unmute myself there. Sorry.
That'll work.
A home match I'm looking forward to. Phoenix, of course, because that's always a good game. And I'm looking forward to San Antonio, only because I have extended family in San Antonio, and I love beating them because I get to talk really good trash to my nephew. And I'm kind of looking forward to the Friday night games. It's a new thing for us, having Friday games. Suppose there's going to be fireworks. Should be a good time. We've got Jeff Gardner in the front office now, and it seems like they're trying some new things, and I'm excited for that. And I've already got some of my coworkers who are kind of pumped about going to a game after work on Friday.
Perfect. We'll go to Alan. I think everyone knows the answer Alan's going to say, but what match are you most looking forward to this season? Home match for Orange County, Alan. Or it could be a road match if you want to say. I don't care.
Switchbacks. They're going to be really good. I think Tacoma Defiance is going to be a pretty fun game to watch. Maybe RGV. I'm really looking forward to building up the San Diego Orange County rivalry, the Southern California one, because Los Dos doesn't really matter. And I think that Southern California needs a good, proper rivalry. There's one in hockey, there's one in baseball, there's one in basketball, there's one in college football. There's always a nice rivalry when you get two Southern California teams involved. Yeah, they're both really terrible right now, but it's still a pretty good rivalry because it's like we won one game all year, and it was against the Kings. So I'm looking forward to building that rivalry, but also building that community between kind of the Tijuana, San Diego, Orange County area. Just building up the soccer community, getting kids opportunities to play professional soccer in Southern California and keep them home as opposed to having them go other places. So I'm really looking forward to those two games, both home and on the road. Orange County, San Diego, loyal.
Dylan, what about you?
Oh, there's so many. Home match, just to not say loyal, I'm really looking forward when Oklahoma comes to town to see Joe Amico again. Basically anytime. Phoenix match as well, both because it's going to be a good match, and to see Kanto Uso Ansa as well. Anywhere that our former players end up that I like, I want to see them. I want to see them do well. Say hello to them. Away matches, there's a good run in the summer. I'm really excited. Planning to make it out to Phoenix and Sacramento, those back-to-back weekends. And then anytime in Vegas is a good time, even when it's 105 degrees. So, it's the little things. But there's a lot to look forward to this year, and I think the schedule is actually built out in a way where you can theoretically make it to multiple matches. So I better see some people this year.
I definitely. Oh,
can I add one really quick?
Go ahead.
And I'm completely drawing a blank, but who's that guy who kicked that guy square in the back a couple of years ago?
Romeo Parks.
And what team is he playing for now?
Mexico United. Hey, he made a
so
mistake.
Looking forward to that game.
He made a mistake. That was one time. I feel like everyone needs to get off his back about that, and that was a.
Andy's not going to let him forget.
I mean, I know, but
come on, man.
And he's working on some chant. He's working on some chant to get going there.
The best part is on the USL podcast, they pointed out he's been in the league already.
Yeah.
He's been back. He played for Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Yeah,
so people are hopping on New Mexico as if they're the ones who's giving him his first chance back. I was conflicted about that signing, but New Mexico is going to be an interesting team to heckle this season.
No Santi Moore.
Let me get my favorite match, if you guys don't mind. We can talk about New Mexico. Turn this into a New Mexico United podcast if we want. Let's say I got to say the season opener, just because it's the season opener and it's a fresh season, it's excitement. We've all been missing soccer for a few months now. We're going to be, like I said, doing a live pregame show from the stadium for anyone that can make it out for that. I also want to shout out, because they're such great friends of ours. I'm looking forward to the Reno match when they come down. I missed last season's because I was in Boise at the time. So when they come back down, I'm potentially thinking maybe when they come back down, we'll do a live podcast. Maybe if any of the members of 1868 Weekly make the trip down, we could do sort of a combined podcast with the Orange and Black Soccer Cast and 1868 Weekly live before the show. I think that would be pretty cool. In the end, all the matches are awesome. I'm going to try and make it out to more than I did last season, if my schedule allows. Unfortunately, I don't get a chance to make it out to every match because I also coach my son's youth soccer. And go to school and work a full-time job and a bunch of other fun stuff. So, but I'm going to try and make it out to more and hang out with the folks out there at County Line Coalition Section 9 this season. Let's do this to wrap things up, as we always do. A random thought. So just so Andy, I know Andy, you listen, so you know what this is, but just to give you a little time to think of something if you weren't prepared. And then just to let James know, we just end every episode with a random thought. It doesn't have to be about soccer. It could be about anything. Dylan likes to bore us with things to read. Alan just goes all over the place. Sometimes I have interesting stuff. Sometimes it's just, I don't have nothing to say. So I just say Tottenham, Tottenham, Tottenham. So that's how that works. And then we will wrap things up here. I'm going to go to Andy first.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I received from a friend for Christmas a signed copy of the Abby Wambach book, Wolfpack. And I highly recommend everybody read it. It has really good stuff in there about how to be a leader. And it's not just sports. It's not just soccer. It's how to be a leader in life.
Perfect. And then I'm going to go over to James next. Really quick before you give your random thought, though, James, I did forget to ask a question that one of our Twitter followers wanted to know. They basically wanted to know which Scottish beer you recommend for us here in the States.
Which Scottish beer? Oh, you're asking someone that's not a huge drinker, so that's surprisingly that does exist in Scotland. We're more kind of Scotch whiskey is the thing that we tend to go for. Listen, the typical one would be, as a lager would be like Tennant's. That's your basic one. Start from there, and then if you want to get more fancy, you can get into like IPAs and stuff like that. But you might need to ask a more hardened drinker than myself. As a random thought, I'm going to use this as an opportunity for a shameless plug. We're mentioning how some Orange County supporters might want to take up Rangers as their team. Best way to do that, in terms of for your podcast needs, is Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. We do weekly shows going over the games and all the big talking points, but we also are on Patreon. That's Patreon.com/Heart and Hand. We have up to 5 shows a day on all things Rangers, as well as football, as well as other stuff. We have shows on the Premier League, so you can listen to all things Liverpool and Tottenham if you want. We have shows on Serie A. We even have a couple of guys based out in the States, Ross and Ingram, who talk all things American sports as well. So from $1.99 a month, you can get all that type of content and so much more for all things Rangers and beyond.
Yeah, I was looking at your website and I'm like, I went to the who we are or, whatever your roster list is. And that thing just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. There's how many? There's 30 or 40 people on that list, I think.
We've got about 20 contributors on the site. So yeah, a lot of people. So we like to think of ourselves as like a podcast Netflix. You don't need to listen to everything, but if there's something for you, then fire on.
There we go. And I would take it, is that your random thought then, James?
Yeah, I'll use that as my random thought. Shamelessly plug, and my boss wouldn't be too happy if I didn't take that opportunity. So there you are.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Dylan, what about you? What's your random thought for the evening?
I mean, you already know it's a recommendation, right?
Andy already gave us the literary recommendation.
Well, guess what? You can read
literature.
More than one book. I'm going to recommend something better than Obi Wambach. Wind, Sand, and Stars from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's really good. It's a memoir. It's about his life. It's about his life in general. For those of you who aren't familiar, he's the guy that read The Little Prince. He was a pilot. He was a writer. He disappeared. His writing's really good. I don't know. Read the damn book. It's like $10. It's not that long. I never suggest anything long. You guys will be fine.
Oh, Alan, can you wake us all up with something interesting that's a random thought?
Yes. I'm going to give a shout out to my boys at Bridge Barcata. They're celebrating their first year anniversary. And Bridge Barcata is a free kind of outdoor street soccer group that invites people out. Doesn't matter what your skill level is. They set up goals. They have kind of bibs that you can put on, and you basically just play pickup Fridays, Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. Started out, they played under a bridge. They kind of swept the area clean and just kind of played pickup, kind of 6-on-6. And they continued on today. They now play in the Chicano Park, which is the largest outdoor collection of art in the United States. And it's kind of a cool backdrop to play kind of the street soccer. And it's kids, it's semi-pros. 1904 came out. The San Diego Sockers came out. And, some professional level players come out and play pickup from time to time. And just give a shout out to them. It's great to see that kind of community build support for soccer and create an environment where kids can play for free, or anyone can play for free. It's kind of pick up soccer, and just give them a shout out for their 1-year anniversary.
How did you do when you played with them?
Terrible.
Okay. Good to know. My random thought, sort of piggyback off of Alan there, except for this was for UCI and our staff league. I think when I last left you, I was in the staff league and we were playing and we got to the championship match. Unfortunately, we lost. We were playing against this team that was amazing, and my defense didn't do anything for me.
Have you tried getting a better goalkeeper?
Oh man, I gave up 7 goals, but I stopped at least 10. So it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Okay, Tim Howard, you got it.
It is what it is. My defense was just standing there. They weren't even doing anything. So, but
it's a new decade. I'm not going to not roast you. Do better.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do better next time. Really quick before we wrap things up or end everything, I just want to give everyone a chance to plug any social media or websites they need to plug. Andy, do you have anything you want to plug to our listeners?
No, I'm good.
Andy does not want more followers. How about you, James?
If people feel that they want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Heart and Hames, Heart and Ha, and then Mez. I'll follow you guys on Twitter shortly, if you've got Twitter, and we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Dylan.
You guys can find me at Twitter at OCSC_Dylan, or on Reddit /u/OCSC_Dylan, or in a library.
Oh, in a library, yeah. Alan.
You can find me on the Twitter machines at AUnderwood48, trolling the Phoenix fan base using Arena Soccer League stats. So
you got him so mad with that, man. I was so bummed that you didn't throw that out as your random stuff. You were getting them so mad. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at DJ Ray Samora. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast. Look for us on Facebook. At Orange and Blue, or just look for Orange and Black Soccercast on there. You also can go to our website, OCSCpodcast.com, to follow or to find all of our episodes, also any news content that we provide. I know we've been lacking a little bit lately, but there really hasn't been much to talk about. As the season comes closer, we'll have a lot more things to discuss there. I want to, again, thank Aaron Cervantes, goalkeeper for Orange County Soccer Club, for joining us earlier today. I also want to thank James Forrest from Heart and Hand, covering Rangers Soccer Club, and helping us learn more about your team or your club, and then this partnership that we have. Also, Andy, County Coalition, Mr. Drummer. Before I let you go, Andy, I have one last question for you. Question from our Twitter followers. What is your favorite CLC song to drum?
Man, I know we're trying to make it short here, huh? I'm not a very good drummer, so I pretty much just drum the same thing every time.
Same beat.
Yeah. So they're all the same to me. Sorry. They're all good. But I am partial to County Road.
That's an awesome song. So again, thank you to all of our people, everyone that was on with us today. Let's end this. I'm Ray. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are out.
You have been listening to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. For the latest Orange County SC news and information, visit our website, OCSCpodcast.com. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com.